Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Josie Show. I am your host, Josie, the redheaded libertarian. My guest today is Harrison Smith. Welcome, Harrison.
Thank you so much for having me. Very happy to be here.
It's my pleasure. We've had this plan for so long. I've been looking forward to it. So for anybody,
Seriously.
So for anybody living under a rock, who are you? What do you do?
I am Harrison Smith. I host the War Room on the Alex Jones Network each and every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. Central Time at alexjoneslive.com. I also host Off Limits News for NXR Studios. That comes out on YouTube once a week. And you can follow me on X at Harrison H. Smith. But I do a daily 3-hour show covering the waterfront in terms of politics and conspiracy and callers. And it's a very fun and wide-ranging show.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to our discussion tonight. We're just going to get into kind of the news of the week. And I wanted to kick it off with Mike Caruso, who you may recognize him from the anti-Semitism censorship bill. That's his Florida fame right there. He flew with Ron DeSantis and that slob Randy Fine over to Jerusalem to sign a censorship bill for Florida in Jerusalem. And then Ron DeSantis then gifted the pen that he signed that with to Netanyahu. Well, anyway, Mike Caruso was arrested on child sex charges. So we are going to get in and read that story.
Yeah, really upsetting ones too, if I remember correctly. And I don't know, do you remember, because when I read that and I read the anti-Semitism bill and DeSantis going over to Israel to sign it, that was in 2023. I feel like I remember there being an earlier one because I was surprised that Randy Fine was there because I was like, I didn't think Randy Fine was, an elected representative at that point. So I don't know if you remember that, but because I remember very distinctly, and I thought it was a couple years ago that they went over to sign this anti-Semitism bill, and because they were actually sued by Jewish groups in Florida who were like, this is illegal. It is literally barred by the Florida Constitution that you cannot sign a bill or do any government business in a foreign country. Yep. And so it was, groups here in America going, what are you doing? You can't do this. Is literally, I don't know if it's treason, but it's certainly forbidden by the Constitution. So I don't know if I'm remembering from 2023 and I just got my timing wrong, or if they've done this multiple times. I don't actually know, but I remember that. And I remember the sort of the irony being that it was a bunch of Jewish groups in Florida going, no, you are not allowed to do this. We don't care if it's anti-Semitism. No.
A lot of the Jewish groups don't like what's being done in their name. The Orthodox, I think it's like the Orthodox Jews that really don't like the war in Gaza, that they believe, like Christians believe, that they were kicked out and that they'll return at a time when the whole thing.
God will do it. Exactly. It's not your job. Yes. God will take care of it. Yeah.
Exactly. That God will put you back there, not the Rothschilds. And they believe this. And there's a lot of them that do, and they really hate what's being done in their name. And it also is when they're violating speech laws, when they're making two sets of laws and extra protections and creating a protected class around themselves. I read through the anti-Semitism bill when this happened. So I'm just going to say why this is taking me so long. They're like deleting the stories about Mike Caruso. I've had pulled up 2 links and it said,
really?
Yeah. So this is sketchy. I've pulled up 2 links and it said page not found. So I'm trying to find a page that's from today or yesterday to read, and it's all like deleted. It's crazy. Yeah, they're all.
That's very weird.
Okay. Here's one from one day ago. Finally, see if this one works. Oh, it works so far. We're good. Okay.
Well, what will it say, though? It doesn't have all the information still there.
Yeah, I know, right? This one just talks about how Mike Caruso's name remains on the November ballot despite being arrested for child sex charges. Well, that's kind of sketchy, but let's read and see if it gets into it. If not, I'm just going to pull up my post because this is insane to me. Okay.
That's very bizarre.
Yes, that they're pulling these articles down.
Yeah, that you can't find things about this. I mean, it just broke.
It just broke, exactly. So they're trying to sweep it under the rug real fast. All right. As the main focus remains on the criminal charges against Palm Beach County Clerk of Courts Mike Caruso, there were also questions about his political future, specifically as it relates to the November election. Well, Ron DeSantis suspended him, and he's held without bail.
Yeah,
all right, so Caruso.
The prognosis is not great on his future political career. Let's just say.
I'm not thinking, but I wouldn't be surprised if he won it anyway. That's happened in the past with like dead guys and stuff.
Well, right, yeah.
Caruso was arrested. Oh, go on.
I'll just say, you're having me on Friday, and it's like this whole week has been stories like this. This whole week has been like, do I really have to read about this? And is it really? And you read the headline, and it's like he's abusing members of his family, and you just like hear some of the details, and you're like, oh my god, what? And then it's like, oh, and also he's one of the people that went to Israel to sign this anti-Semitism bill. He also apparently is the guy who like spearheaded using Florida's like public investment fund and investing like $1 billion into Israel. They're the single largest contributor to this sovereign Israeli fund.
Well,
And it's like, of course, that has to, of course it has to check all the boxes. This horrible, crazy
Harrison,
story.
there's a reason why all these stories are disappearing, and it sounds like somebody's a little bit protected. So that'll be interesting. All right.
Yeah, that is very disturbing that the stories are disappearing. I mean, I've never seen that really to that degree.
Yeah. All right. So this one goes on. Governor DeSantis immediately used his authority to suspend Caruso. I appreciate that because a lot of times you get a politician, a leader, and they try to ignore it, sweep it under the rug. And
Awful.
he's like immediately
Yep.
like, nope, not doing this. And I do like that about him. I hate his geopolitics, but I do like this about him. Once the arrest happened, I mean, for me, that was an easy decision to yank him from that position. DeSantis said, good. I'm glad. DeSantis.
Don't you? And this is the beauty of DeSantis is he does the obvious and easy things, and that literally makes him like the best governor in the country. Is he's just like, oh, this guy is accused of being a horrible person. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of him, and it's like
He is
done. But everything's like kind of like that, isn't it? It's like, oh, this horrible thing's happening. DeSantis is the only one that's like, no, not anymore. Everybody else is, well, we got to consider and let's all take a look. So it's the bar is very low, but he reaches it very well.
exactly. He is decisive. And I mean, I moved from Massachusetts to Florida for his politics under COVID. Is he great on geopolitics? No. He's with that anti-Semitism bill. It's I'm in
Illegal.
Florida, and there's things that I'm like worried to talk about because
Yeah.
of this bill. And I'm gonna read what this bill entails. I was like the examples in the bill. So it's not me exaggerating or anything. It's the examples listed in the bill of things that are illegal for me to say. All right.
Yep.
Despite the suspension, Caruso's name is still on the November ballot and will remain there unless Caruso chooses to remove himself. He is in prison or he's in jail. He's being held. He has no rights right now. Just have him remove it. Oh my gosh. How humiliating.
Yeah.
Kevin Wagner, a political science professor at Florida Atlantic University, said only Caruso has the power to take his name off the ballot. Well, have him do that. Holy cow. The governor's action doesn't remove him from the ballot, and because he was running unopposed, he stays on the ballot. If you choose, okay. Yeah, this doesn't get into the charges at all. This just talks about the ballot. Look at that. They glossed right over them. Okay, so essentially what he did, and I was trying to I wanted to make sure it was out, and I wanted to protect the victims and all that, but it's widely out now. So he molested his grandson, who looked to be 4 or 5 years old at the time. And what he did, he took his family on a cruise, and he told the boy's parents or his uncle, I'm going to take you, I'm going to take him for ice cream. And they said, okay, of course, grandpa's going to take you for ice cream. He didn't take him for ice cream. He took him to his hotel room where he molested him. And I don't want to get into the details of that. You can look that up. I believe Stu Peters got the break on that. It's appalling what he did to that little boy. And the parents found out because the little boy is starting to act it out almost on his little brother to try to figure out what happened to him. It's just curiosity about trying to make sense of what happened to him. So they caught him, and it didn't get really bad with the brother or anything like that, but it was enough where the parents were suspicious, and the little boy explained everything in detail, things a little boy wouldn't know. Like, this is what grandpa did to me. And then he described what it looked like, which there was no way a little 4-year-old could know that. So yeah, they immediately took action against him, but just such a scumbag.
So was it reported as just that one instance? Because that I got to be honest, I looked into Caruso and I looked into him, but like at a certain point, I'm like, I don't even need to know the details. I got it from the headline. I didn't like look into it that much, and I kind of just assumed that it was like an ongoing thing. But it seems like it was just like one, like that. That in itself is like kind of bizarre, kind of, or like out of the I don't even want to say out of the ordinary, but you and I, you know what I mean? Like usually if it's a family member, it's like a long-term thing. I assumed it was that, but it apparently was just this one instance.
Well, I commented on it today, and Christina Pashaw, she comments and she says there's more charges coming. So this could
That's
have been
what I would
ongoing.
expect.
Yes, this could have been ongoing after that. And oh my gosh, this guy's face, if his mugshot, he looks like a lizard person. His pupils are like lines. It's the scariest,
Yeah.
most unsettling thing I've ever seen in my life. Um, so yeah, that's what he did. It's all obviously being scrubbed from the main page of Google. I'm struggling to find anything on it. But it's all over X. So you guys can go ahead, look on X, and you can find my page, and I've definitely talked about it. I'm sure you've talked about it, Harrison.
Yeah, I am sort of shocked that it's disappearing because I mean this isn't a fringe story. I mean this guy
Mhm.
was a major figure. DeSantis has commented on it. Clearly the facts are out there and they're going to be in the court filing. So that's like kind of weird in and of itself that they would try to deaden some of this coverage that only makes it more suspicious. And I mean, this has been a year of revelation. This has been a year of, exposure to the
Mhm.
reality of the type of people running things behind the scenes in our country. And I don't think it's a coincidence that you've got so many of these guys getting caught,
Mhm.
especially not these days. It's, yeah, horrifying.
Well, I have my theory as to why, but Harrison, it is illegal for me to say it in my state. So I'm going to go over the examples of anti Semitism listed in the bill that are banned. All right. One, calling for, aiding, or justifying the killing, harming of Jews, often in the name of radical ideology and extremist religious view. Okay. That's not really free speech for anybody. So I don't know why you're not really allowed to call for the killing
Well,
of anybody.
this this is kind of the problem,
Hmm.
right? I mean, to set aside certain categories that of people that you can't talk about or whatever functions you can't discuss, whatever
Hmm.
it is, we already have speech laws to the degree that you can't make threats or anything like that. So why would you want to add on top of that? That's why. Sorry, I'll let you keep going. But
Oh,
to
no.
me, my opposition to this is very purely because it completely breaks the First Amendment that we have a freedom of religion, which means it's the exact same freedom that guarantees Jews the right to be Jews, gives us an inalienable right to criticize that religion, the people who practice it, and everything about it. So I, I mean, I think there are very strong First Amendment grounds to reject this entire body of law.
Absolutely. And I want your take on each of these. I think there's one, two, three, four, five different ones I'm going to read. Okay. Next one,
Mm-hmm.
making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, and stereotypic allegations about Jews as a group, or, sorry, my kitty, or their supposed collective powers, e.g.,
Oh,
myths of the worldwide Jewish conspiracy or Jews controlling the media, econom- economy, government, or other institutions. It is illegal to say that in Florida.
yeah, that's like that can't be the case. I don't know what to tell you, Josie, but it's like that can't be the law. I don't,
Mhm.
my understanding, and I'm not an expert or anything, and I'm not giving legal advice certainly to anybody, but how could that possibly be the law? That is in such obvious violation of the First Amendment. It's indefensible in every possible way. And I feel like that is just obvious. And you can extrapolate that all sorts
Mhm.
of things. I do think it's hilarious that they actually specify stereotypical phrases. So you could be like, you Jews are so tall and you're really good at football. Like, so you can say things about them as a collective that aren't true or
Mhm.
that aren't stereotypical, which I've always said that hate speech is literally just when reality meets the stereotype,
Mhm.
right? You actually don't get in trouble for saying something about a group of people that isn't a stereotype or relating a stereotype to the reality. It's only when you point to the reality confirming the stereotype that it's hate speech. So it's amazing that they actually put that explicitly in there.
Mhm.
It's just I cannot there's no way to there just is no way to square that with the First Amendment. I
No.
think that is uh, uh horrible. It's
Exactly,
crazy.
and, I'm trying to, like, think of ways to word things around it, like, I can't say, well, I can't say, and I'm not saying this, I'm just making a statement. I can't say, "They're all lawyers." Like, I can't,
Right.
like, I can't say things like that because you don't know. I
Right.
mean, even when it comes
Well,
sorry.
I wonder if I mean maybe we need to read again. Maybe we need to really lawyer this out. But you know, I wonder if because there's something called the celebration parallax. I don't know. I'm sure you're familiar with this. The idea that you can say the same thing, but if
Mhm.
you're for it, it's fine. If you're against it, then you're a horrible bigot. That sort of thing. So, I mean, there are Jewish groups that go out and brag about we Jews
Mhm.
are responsible for LGBT and this. will they get in trouble? Can they be charged with anti-Semitism for, contributing to collective stereotypes if they say it in a positive way as a celebration of what the Jews do or have done?
I'm guessing not, for reasons that I cannot specify because I will go to jail. Yeah, this is
Wow.
alarming. All right, next one. Accusing and there's a whole separate examples about criticizing Israel too, so we're gonna get to that as well.
Oh,
Mhm. Next, accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoing by a single Jewish person or group, Israel, or even non-Jews. So, blaming the Jews for, I don't know,
anything.
anything. You can't blame the Jews for
Yeah,
it
yeah.
by any stretch of you can't do that. Illegal.
If the Jews did it or didn't do it or somebody else did it, you cannot blame the Jews for anything ever.
Mhm.
That's that's wild. That is absolutely what. And this already passed. This is the one he
This
signed
is
in
the one he
23.
signed and gifted that
That's right.
pen over to Netanyahu. All right. And it's like DeSantis is so good and he does something like this. It's what is that? What are you doing? All right. Number
Yeah,
4.
what is that?
Accusing Jews as a people or Israel of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust. 6 million. You cannot debate that for any reason. It's illegal. Illegal in Florida. Yep.
Even outside of Florida, what I'm thinking is illegal. Well, even outside of Florida and outside the bounds of this anti-Semitism, I still cannot say what this is making me think. That,
Yeah.
we're not Europe. That's not how this works. Okay.
Are they?
I'm gonna question it even more now.
Mhm.
I'm
Well,
gonna make up for Florida's lack of Holocaust denial. I don't think it happened anymore. Actually, now you said that,
well, you
I
can say
changed my
that.
mind.
Are you in Texas?
Yeah.
All right, you're safe. You're safe over there in
Am
Texas.
I? I don't know. I mean, this is really making me
Maybe.
question things.
I know, right? All right, and number 5, accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or in alleged Jewish worldwide priorities than their own nation. You can't say that? Are you kidding?
This, yeah, this is another thing where it's like maybe the way to fight back against this is literally start filing charges against like the Tikva Fund and the ADL and Rabbi Shmuley, because I've heard all of them say exactly that your real loyalty is to Israel, that America. I mean, the guy who runs the Tikva Fund, big Jewish organization, he gives this speech where he's like, this time in America, it's been a nice vacation. It's been a nice holiday from reality, but it's time to remember the Jews are different. And we have to, and it's just like, you're literally telling people, stop being loyal to America. It's time to abandon America. It's like that they're the ones saying that. So maybe that's anti-Semitic and maybe he needs to be charged and put into prison. Or maybe these laws shouldn't exist. Maybe one of those things needs to happen.
I wonder how much of a prerequisite to the Noahide laws these are, because you can't make general statements about the Jewish faith. I mean, if I were in another state, I might say something like Sanhedrin 54b would protect Mike Caruso from doing what he did to his grandson. But,
Right.
I mean, that's from the Talmud, and I mean, is that criticizing Jews as a whole?
That's the thing. Has any of this gone to trial? I mean, has any of this actually been tried? Because
this is what they're doing on the campuses to,
right.
Yeah,
That's how they do it.
So I
don't to where it's not, you don't have the protections of law. You can't actually. It's not a punishment by law. Well, and this is the other thing that is happening right now is you've got Stop Anti-Semitism, you've got the Canary Mission, you've got the ADL, of course, and I mean they're very proud and very open, and they advertise very aggressively the fact that they are finding people they consider anti-Semites and reporting them to the police or just reporting them to their jobs and getting them fired. So we do have a parallel pseudo-legal system being established right now, only it's not a legal system because you don't have a right to confront your accuser and the punishment doesn't have to fit the crime and it's not bound by any of the legal statutes that bind the actual legal system. It's just sort of a voluntary Jewish terrorist network. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it, but when you've got these American people going, we're going to ruin your life and destroy your get you fired from your job and make sure that banks can't loan to you, you can't have a credit card anymore. I mean, what is that? If not the action of a mafia punishing you in the exact same way a government would, if wasn't bound by the Constitution. So yeah, all of this, yeah, has to be stood up against. And honestly, the people who need to stand up against it are Jewish people in America that don't agree with this and see where this is headed and see what a dangerous path down which this leads. These people are representing themselves as you. It's like these the Tikva Fund people, the ADL people, they're using you as human shields. And until you like stop that from happening, we can all together realize what a poisonous, toxic environment this is creating. I don't know how we get past this.
Well, it
That's crazy.
creates anti-Semitism is what it does, and
Of
they
course. Well,
need
and I bet they benefit from that.
exactly right. They benefit from it. They can point to and say, "See, look, anti-Semites over there." So we're going to need more laws to bring that to justice and to protect ourselves because we're victims. That's exactly what they're doing. Oh,
And they also want you going, going overboard basically and being like, well, F Jews then, which, like I said, if you're going to tell me I can't question the Holocaust, I kind of have to. It's in my blood. You've made me do it now. I didn't even want to, but if I don't now, it looks like you made me not. So I have to now, unfortunately. So there is a little bit of that element, but on the other hand, that's why I said, like, this is a strictly First Amendment argument.
yeah.
This is a violation of the First Amendment. Clearly, obviously, no other religion would stand for it, and I wouldn't stand for it of any other religion. It's not me that's making the Jews do this. Jews are doing this, and I'm against that, and it's wrong, and it needs to stop. I think like the trick is they want you to actually become anti-Semitic over this, which I'm not anti-Semitic. I just don't want this crap going on, and I refuse to be quiet while it's happening.
Exactly. And I mean, your words, because I'm a good law-abiding citizen in Florida, and I'm talking to somebody in another state. All right. Well, Israel. Let's see what they've protected about Israel. So first, it starts off by saying you can still criticize Israel the way you criticize any other country. Okay. They just wanted you to know that this isn't strictly because of Israel. All right, but it's forbidden in Florida to demonize Israel using classic anti-Semitic symbols and images, comparing Israeli policy to Nazis, or blaming Israel for all interreligious or political tensions. Wow.
Well, and so I just had on a guy on my show today named Ethan Levins. Ethan Levins. He was on his way back from Lebanon into America. He was born in America. He's an American citizen, white European, ancestry guy. And he got pulled aside. Actually, when they scanned his passport, it didn't alert. They pulled him aside. 2 DHS officers talked to him for 3 hours about a post he made showing Ben Gvir's office on Google Maps. And the whole thing was he said they spent 3 hours basically trying to get him to admit that he shouldn't have posted it. And that when he finally was like, okay, yeah, fine, I won't do that again, within 5 minutes, they let him go. But clearly now they're like Americans are being tagged in the DHS system for thought crimes against Israeli politicians. And it wasn't about anything he'd said about America. He'd obviously never made a threat or, threatened violence or anything that would, represent any legitimate reason to pull somebody to the side. It was literally just because he had posted about and criticized Ben Gvir, the genocidal maniac, despicable goblin man that is a very powerful minister in the government of Israel. So our DHS agents are now being alerted and being told that you have a suspected terrorist in your hand, if based on tweets that are sent into their system. How they got that tweet, what deemed it, worthy of threat flagging, I don't know. He said the post was from April of this year. He'd traveled out of the country multiple times since then, and he traveled in July and June from Belgium, but it was this time was the first time, and it was the only thing they brought up was that tweet from April about Ben Gvir.
Wow. What kind of AI do they have? Probably some excellent AI because they have all the best tech, which is why it's in our military now, but what kind of AI are they using to search American citizens like that?
That was my question as I was asking, do you think this was AI? Because Max Blumenthal also had his devices taken. And according to him, Laura Loomer bragged about that and was basically like, haha, do you I got you sort of thing.
Oh my God.
And so he is suing basically to find out, was this a literally just a straight up political persecution
Mm-hmm.
to take my phone and label me a terrorist because this crazy Israel first lady wants. And you're not allowed to say that in Florida. I think you should say it. I think you should say it. I think you have an obligation, Josie, to break all of those laws. I'm not even joking with you. I broke those laws. I did a report in Florida
Mm-hmm.
where I said a lot of this stuff. I filmed it in Watercolor, Florida. So
Mm-hmm.
I think you as an American have an obligation to break these laws, and I'm not even joking, not even a little bit, because they have to be tested. I mean, if this just stands, and then this cannot stand. This cannot stand. And I've seen a video out of Florida. This is how crazy it gets, and it is already this crazy. So this video may have been from 2024,
Mm-hmm.
but the police knock on the door. This woman's filming. She answers it. The police go, "Hey, we're just here to talk to you about some of the stuff you posted online." And, and they're doing the whole like, "Hey, we're not here to we just wanted to, let you know things." What she had posted was either a clip or a quote of Randy Fine, or she had just posted on Randy Fine that this guy wants to kill all the Palestinians.
Which is what he said.
Which is what he said.
Uh-huh.
So the police are showing her this and are going, "Don't you understand how this could maybe inspire somebody to do violence against Randy Fine or whoever it was she was talking about? Don't you understand how this could be seen as incitement of violence against him?" And it's like, so he says to kill all the Palestinians, but if you point out he said to kill all the Palestinians, that might make somebody so mad they'll attack him. So you can't say that. So again, I mean, it's like this cannot stand, folks. Like, we get that, right? This cannot stand. This can't stand.
Yeah, this can't stand. It seems like Randy Fine saying that would make more people mad than somebody quoting Randy Fine saying that. Just
one would think. One would think.
Sorry, cat. Okay.
No, but this is why we have a First Amendment, because there is no like, well, just the worst stuff will tamp down. Just the worst. It's like, no, if it's not literally leading directly to a physical threat, which you can not because it's going to make somebody mad and they might commit attacks, which is how it's always portrayed, but literally like, I'm going to get you, or I'm going to do this at this place. That is it. We have to have a hard line there, because any fuzziness gets interpreted, through the eyes of the beholder, and it basically means you have no rights.
And incitement has a test. It has to have imminence and a name and a place. And that's what incitement is. And they're trying to skew it and be like, couldn't this cause incitement? It's like, no, incitement is saying everybody go to this place at this time and do this to this person. That's incitement. And that's what they're able to get on some of these protesters on campuses who are handing out pamphlets, and they're able to deport them over pamphlets that are mean to Jewish people.
Right.
Deport them.
Yeah. Yeah, that I think is like a double insult, right? Because not only is it, I think, a violation of our morality and fundamental moral underpinnings, but it's also not even for us. It's like, it's, if you're going to be tyrannical, you can at least be getting out the leftist and the people who hate me. But no, we're willing to and able to do literally anything at any point as long as Israel wants it, right? When Americans want anything, it's red tape. It's you got to wait. We got to go through the process. And then it's Israel like, "Hey, can we have TikTok?" And within 2 minutes, we're like beating up China, being like, "Give them TikTok." I mean, it just happens like that. You don't even hear about it. Section 219, we didn't even hear about it till it was like, "Hey, guess what's passing tomorrow?" God forbid you want to close the border or something. It's literally years of discussion and negotiation. Israel wants something that is against the Constitution and deeply unpopular and a violation of every promise Trump ever made and everything that the Republicans swore to uphold. It just happens in an instant. It's really something else.
I gotta say, before like October 7th, I never saw Israel. I never saw the cult aspect of MAGA. I never really saw it. I was like, okay, because it was the left and they always exaggerate everything, and but they were calling them a cult when cult things weren't really happening. And so, but when that happened and the marching orders and the organized like cancellation efforts and getting the government involved in speech and all of this happening, and it just, I don't, when was that bill signed? Was that after October 7th? Did they do that? If you're saying there was another bill, which I don't know, I didn't move to Florida till like 2022 and started following their politics then, but I wonder if they were able to use October 7th in the same way that the government
Oh,
used
I'm
September
sure.
11th to push through the Patriot Act. I wonder if that's what they did, if it was signed in
Absolutely.
2023.
Absolutely. Well, and this is the feedback. Well, I don't know about that one in particular, but I mean, this is the feedback loop, right? Is Israel does something incredibly objectionable, that's going to make people mad and criticize it, and then every one of those criticisms gets tallied up in the column of anti-Semitic terrorist hate speech events, which goes into the big database that they use to say, oh my gosh, it's risen by 43% this year, so we need another couple $1 million, and we need more speech controls. So I don't know about that one in particular, that bill in particular. It seems like a pretty fast turnaround for the end of
Exactly what
October
I'm
to get
thinking.
that done by.
Yeah,
Yeah, that must have been
exactly.
before.
That's what I'm thinking, so we're testing it. We're gonna see. What
Okay.
does Grok have to say? Yeah.
And I swear I thought there was one in 2019.
Yep, okay, you're right about 2019, that's the first one that popped up. And the other one separately was April 27th. All right, so May 29th, 2019, ceremonial signing of CS/CS/HB 741 in Jerusalem. So that happened. Then
Yep. And that
also
was the one I remember they sued over. So I
yeah,
didn't even know they'd signed. Maybe I did, but that's crazy. They signed another one. They had to go back. They had to do it again 4 years later.
they did it
Great.
again, yes, but that one did happen because I was yeah, that's like a short turnaround, but, I wouldn't have put it past them. Uh, Bill added religion as a protected class on May 29th. Uh, okay, it the bill added religion as a protected class against discrimination in Florida's K through 20 public education system, requiring treating anti-Semitism motivated discrimination the same as race-based discrimination, and adopted a definition of anti-Semitism modeled on the U.S. State Department's. Oh, we remember that. Okay, yep, I'm remembering that one.
Yeah. So you've got the IHRA dictionary definition of anti-Semitism,
Mhm.
which includes basically criticizing Israel for anything. That is the cover law. And so, yeah, all of these things, all of these pieces have put into place over time. Like you get the State Department to adopt this definition of anti-Semitism. Then you have these other, state apparatus adopt the State Departments. Well, the State Department already adopted it, so we'll just adopt that too.
Mhm.
And then you've got like anti-Semitism czar. You've got an anti-Semitism czar,
Mhm.
this Yehuda rabbi, who himself is at the head of basically every branch of the government has a designated anti-Semitism czar.
Mhm.
So the education department has an anti-Semitism czar that's there to make sure everything the education department does, it comports with the Zionist worldview and designs for our country. So like when we talk about like a takeover of the United States government, it really can't get more clear cut than that.
Mhm.
And yeah, we better start talking about it now before it becomes literally illegal to talk about this. So
Yeah, state
it,
by state.
yeah,
Mhm.
crazy.
Do you have a hard stop at the hour? Because we're going on a topic for a long time, or
No, I do not. No, not necessarily.
okay,
No.
cool, alright, then I'll keep going, I just wanna be respectful of your time.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Of
We're good.
course. Alright, there's 2 more parts of protection for Israel we're gonna get through, then we'll jump to the next topic. Applying a double standard by requiring of Israel behavior not accepted of any other democratic nation, or focusing peace/human rights investigations only on Israel. That's very specific and kind of odd.
They're literally baking in their own argumentation tactics into the
Mhm.
law, right? Because that's all this is when you go, oh, Israel controls America, or Israel gives all this money, they go, well, what about Qatar? If you only care about Israel and you don't mention Qatar, then that means you're not allowed to. You're anti-Semitic. I mean, that's just a very basic and simple and kind of low IQ argumentation
Mhm.
tactic. That's now written into law that like so therefore you can say that Israel does all these things or does that, but you also have to say Qatar does it. Like what? That's
Yes. Yes,
that's
exactly.
insane.
Mhm. It's the weirdest logical fallacy. Oh, I gotta tell you what happened on IRL. So I'm on IRL probably a month ago now, and I just started, like, going off on, I can't remember what it was now. What was the big thing that I was talking about? Sorry, my brain is not in the right place. Okay, so I start going off on, wow, holy cow. Anyway,
We're Well, we were talking about the IHRA, or we were talking about
It was about a month ago, that big thing that was happening with the tech. They're putting their tech into our military. There we go. Okay.
Okay, yeah, Section 219.
Exactly. And I totally go off on that, all right? And I talked for like 7 minutes. And in that 7 minutes, I got locked out of my X account for a DMCA violation from 3 years ago. In that 7 minutes. Yeah. So when you have like 3 of those or 4 of those, you get banned for life. So I have 1, but it was almost like, you try this again. I swear that this happened. I have it.
Oh, I believe you.
Yeah. And it was I did my
Wow.
speech, and then I went to just click onto X just because somebody else was talking then. So I clicked on X and I couldn't get in.
And you've been DMCA'd. Wow.
Yep.
That's a little bit on the nose. That is truly wild.
I haven't had anything like that happen to me ever, and it happened in my 7-minute rant against them putting their tech in.
Section 219.
Yeah.
That is nuts. Yeah, and this is like the frustrating thing, and it's really about like everything that we talk about and go through. It's like, okay, I could go through, and we can go through piece by piece. We can go through point by point and explain how it violates the First Amendment, explain how it's logically like do all these things. At the end of the day, I feel like everything that we deal with is just like, this is stupid and wrong and we shouldn't do it. And that's the extent of the argument necessary. Like, anybody trying to push this is just a bad person who's trying to shut you up and not let you talk about what they're doing, because what they're doing is bad. That's the only reason you want to shut people up. That's the only reason you don't want people talking about you or talking about your stereotypes. That's the only possible reason. So like, there's so much stuff. And, honestly, the world is going completely insane. I mean, like, post or like pre-birth abortion, like late term abortion. It's just like, there's just no reason for this. This is insane. Letting out a criminal for the 30th time after another violent attack. It's like, so much stuff in our world is like, why do we even have to argue about this? Why is this even a topic? The answer should just be an abject no. You do not get to carve out little protections for your people or your country or your religion out of what Americans are allowed to say. The answer has to just be a flat no. And if anything's other than no, we got to have problems. We got to look around and make some very difficult choices about the future of our people. So it's like, this is really bad. This is really, really, we're in a very, very bad spot. And we honestly cannot let this continue. And I don't know what steps that means, like, moving forward, but I feel like it's going to be implemented piecemeal. It's going to be implemented quietly and like one by one, and people are just going to kind of disappear from the internet. You're not going to really know why. We just have to stay on our guard for that and just support anybody who's like brought up on anti-Semitism speech charges, no matter how bad they are. I'm changing my platform now, because there have been times where like there's a guy in Texas, Angler, I can't remember exactly what his name is, but it has Angler in it. And, there's a video of the cops coming up and they say to him, they're like, we want to talk to you about what you've said about Jewish people online. And he's like, what? So I played that video on my show and I was like, went off on it and how wrong it was. And I later found out, what the guy had said was sort of like, we need to do something about these people. And it was like, I was like, okay, that was a little bit thready, It wasn't like, I'm going to do this at this time, but it was a little too, it's just not something I wanted to like. Yeah, I still don't think he should have been, I still think it was within free speech, but it wasn't something I like wanted to like put my name on to like champion. But I think I'm going to champion that from now, because I think we need to have almost not falling for the trap and becoming anti-Semitic, but also just having a hard line. Nothing can be done with these laws. Like, I don't care if the person is that offensive, charge them under a normal law, charge them under the statutes that existed before about threats of terrorism. Those are already on the books. This anti-Semitism specific set of laws, I think, have to be opposed regardless of how they're being implemented.
I agree with that. All right. And finally, it is illegal in Florida to delegitimize Israel by denying the Jewish people's right to self-determination or Israel's right to exist. This language. Israel, countries, all countries, I'm speaking for all countries, Harrison, not Israel, just all countries, because in this bill, I'm allowed to speak for all countries. No country has the right to exist. And they're saying this like America doesn't have a right to exist. We have to fight for that. We fight for that, and we fight for that every day. But saying that is saying our government has the right to handle affairs the way they see fit. That's what that means. It has nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah, but it yes, basically means Israel gets to do whatever the hell it wants, and you're not allowed to say, because they also perceive literally every threat or every criticism as an existential threat. So yeah, no, like I said, I mean, the details to me kind of unimportant. This is just wrong and bad and shouldn't be adhered to, and should be challenged in the courts vociferously and vigorously. And it's not going to work. I don't know who they think they're dealing with exactly, but like I said, I don't know. I'm like kind of angry. You kind of made me angry this first segment, Josie. I'm like, I'm a little pissed off right now. This is not good. I need to calm down a little bit. But like, seriously, this is a problem. People need to know about what's happening, and that this is happening in Florida of all places. I guess it's typical, because this is the impossible thing we're dealing with right now, is the dichotomy, the false dichotomy that says you are either a AOC leftist socialist idiot or you are a Zionist Jewish supremacist. That those are our options at this point politically. So it would be absurd for a conservative state to be destroying the First Amendment, except it's perfectly in line with what the so-called conservative party makes exceptions for these days, or at least the things that are done under the banner of the conservatives, because it's supposed to be the conservatives that should stand up against this stuff. Yes. So it's us that do it instead.
Absolutely. Well, that segment went real long, but I appreciate you staying late with me tonight so we can at least get into other stuff. But yeah, that was
well. There's so much to talk about. And by the way, there's another thing that just happened this week where a judge decided that the flag of Israel is actually a racial symbol for the people, the Jewish people. So there was somebody that was like ripped apart an Israeli flag, and they said, well, it's legal to rip apart a country's flag, but this is a symbol of a race, so therefore destroying it is racial hatred.
Sorry, I'm doing Alex Jones face right now.
Yeah, no, that's
Star of David. Is that in the Bible anywhere?
Well, it's called the Star of Rimfan, but
let's talk about that. This is your race? That's just, oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was the symbol of the Rothschilds. I mean, it's worth it to remember that this literally does all go back to the Rothschilds. Like, it's not actually all that complicated. Yep. It's just like the Rothschilds established a globalist system of intelligence that it was a banking system, but obviously banking necessitates extremely reliable, efficient, quick, totally reliable information networks. So, they use that to buy up the British pound, but the British market after the Battle of Waterloo, and have used the British Empire as their vessel, and now have used the American Empire as their vessel, and are now spiking the American Empire to move the operation to Israel. And they keep saying, they're the ones saying this, by the way. You don't have to listen to me. They're literally advertising their operation ongoing as we speak. And if you're interested, the Eighth Front War on my X profile, it's pinned to the top, 14-minute video where they say this explicitly. Every single word in it is a quote of a Jewish leader in America or Israel.
Yeah, I mean, as a Catholic in America, I'm hearing some things be said about my religion and a Jewish vision of my religion from rabbis speaking in front of people that are really alarming to me, that are really alarming. Yeah. But as my dear friend Charlie Kirk said, they're not helping the stereotypes. All right, jump into the next topic. Ooh, do I make you even madder? Every one of these is going to make you mad. It all makes me mad.
I just, look, I know, I just, you do what you got to do. I almost, it's the type of thing that like literally you have to challenge. It makes me think of the time that they did a Draw Muhammad contest in Texas, and some Muslims were like, we're going to blow that up. And I had the same reaction where it's like, well, now I have to draw him. Like, what are you doing? I don't want to draw him, and I wasn't going to draw him. But now now you're going to think that you made me stop. Now you're going to think that you bullied me out of doing this. And I can't let you think that. So now I have to draw Muhammad.
If your God is telling you to blow people up and to set children on fire, and to bomb their schools, that's
Yep.
that's not that's not God. That's not God that
Yeah.
you're listening
Amen.
to. All
Wow.
right. Well, speaking of not God, you're listening to protesters support Lindsay Clancy's defense attorney outside the court. All right. A crowd of women who are having just a banner week. Women are just having a great week. Crowd of
I
women.
mean, it's Lindsay Clancy and it's Carmelo Anthony and everybody's insane. And it's yeah, jury trials are not long for this world. I mean, they've already gotten rid of jury trials in the UK. I don't
Mhm.
know if you know that. Like
No.
it's
Wow.
yeah,
You
yeah.
don't you
Yeah, they
can't
got
have
rid
a
of jury trials.
you can't be before a jury of your peers?
There may be nuances, maybe like for certain crimes.
Maybe just for,
But
like,
no, I think that
federal crimes or something and not, like
I'm not sure what the distinction is, but I mean, they're basically speed running, dismantling the Anglo-Saxon culture. I mean, they're getting rid of jury trials. They got rid of the House of Lords. That doesn't
Mhm.
exist anymore. Yeah, they're dismantling all of that. And we might have to because of the way juries are being tainted at this point. And we've seen examples of that of, jury four-person saying, hey, look, I do not stand by this decision because some of these people said they were not convicting the person because of his race.
Mhm.
So there's obviously that. And, I think this. It sounds so like how could this be the answer? But it's literally civics education. Like we literally just don't have civics education and people explaining not just what rights are, but why they exist
Mhm.
and what the purpose of them is. So like for Carmelo Anthony, they want a retrial because there was no black person on the jury, but all of the black people who were in the jury pool said that they would not be able to be fair, which is like God bless them. Like,
Yeah.
thank
Thank
goodness
you.
they were honest about that. They could have screwed everything up and by easily lying. And so, I don't know how much, how often that'll happen that people are just straight up about like, no, I won't be fair. I think people will just go, here's my time to get revenge for my, fantasized ethnic persecution. So time to get one over
Mhm.
or to let my guy out. This is not going to like the jury system. I don't think is going to survive this. The Clancy woman is a little bit different. And I only say that because I watched some of the videos of the protesters or the supporters
Uh-huh.
for Lindsay Clancy. And one of them says, this could have been anyone. This could have been me. She says, this could have been me, which it's like, that actually kind of, I was like, oh, these women literally think that this Lindsay Clancy woman was like possessed, that
Mhm.
like a lightning strike. Like one day you're perfectly functional and the next you're just like killing your children. Now that's wrong. That's not what actually happened, obviously, but that at least made me understand like where they're coming from. And I wish like this could actually be a positive outcome. But here's the problem. The positive outcome could be all of this energy and all of this attention gets turned towards the medical industry and the medical industry gets reformed. So we're not prescribing women insane cocktails of SSRIs.
Yes.
If that was the outcome of this, it'd be fantastic.
Mhm.
The problem is all of the women supporters, they all look like they're on SSRIs. And if you ask them what happened, they go, the system failed her. She needed help. It's like, no, the system did this to her. So it's like so that's why this stuff is totally crazy because it's completely out of whack. And her cocktail of medicines that put her in the psychosis or whatever, that's the problem. And yet her supporters are not like, we need to reform the system. We need to get women off SSRIs. We need to study this medication.
Mhm.
I mean, they don't know how SSRIs work. Like everything is insane. There was a study last year. It turns out we have no idea what SSRIs are actually doing in the brains, and they just keep prescribing them. So it's like, if the outcome of this was for us to step back and go, what the hell are we doing here?
Mhm.
What is this? Why are women being prescribed so many medicines? And how many times does this have to happen? Because it's not the first time that something like this has happened. We're almost lucky she didn't shoot up a school because that's
Mhm.
what usually happens in these types of cases. So I would love to see this energy get turned towards the doctors and the system that
Mhm.
did this to her, if that's what you believe. But that's not what's happening. So
No.
I'll throw my hands up. So everybody's
They're
crazy. What am I
turning
supposed to say?
it to the husband. They're blaming the husband. Now, we know by the
Insane.
tracking data on the cell phone where Lindsay was in the house on that phone call after that phone call, and we know where he was on that phone call and after that phone call, and only one of them's behaviors matched murdering your children.
And that's the other thing, is that she apparently, according to the evidence, waited for her husband to leave. Like, she was not in a psychotic state because she was acting with purpose and covering up her actions. That, and I'm pretty sure it's fairly basic criminology, is like, if somebody is covering up their actions, it means they're aware the actions are bad.
That's not
So that means,
typical of psychosis to
no,
be
it
methodical.
precludes psychosis. It precludes psychosis. Just like, and this is a crazy thing that's happening right now. And I don't know, again, I do know this, like everything else, is like, we don't need to talk about it. All of this should not exist. Like, the insanity defense shouldn't exist. That's crazy. Why do we even do that? Because, you've got somebody like Irina Zarutska being murdered. Insanity defense. And it's almost like the crimes are so horrific and pointless that they have to be insane. It's almost like the crime itself is evidence of insanity, because they go, the man got up and stabbed a stranger. He didn't benefit from it. He didn't gain from it. He must be insane. Who does that? Who stabs a child, or who, whatever. But in that case, like many others, it's like the dude's sitting on a train with nothing but black people. A pretty little white girl gets on. He stands up and stabs her, and then walks around going, I got that white girl. I got that white girl. That's not insanity. That is a directed action. That is a choice being made on purpose and for a reason. And yet that guy's been able to plead insanity because of the horrific nature of his crime. And I see a lot of stuff like that. And it's like, there's nothing insane about this. There's nothing insane about what they're doing. They're doing it very deliberately and carefully, and they choose their victim because the victim is small and a class of person that they hate. So yeah, the answer is just like, get rid of the insanity defense. I think that is, maybe it made sense at the time that it was implemented because we could trust people to use it reasonably. But at this point, it has to go, because it has become a complete, and, yes, they say they get sent to like mental hospitals, but then it basically goes totally out of the prison system. So it becomes at the hospital's discretion what happens. So I don't know if you saw this week, a guy who murdered his landlord, was criminally insane, went to a hospital. The hospital gave him like a day pass. Not only did they give him a 48-hour day pass to leave, a convicted murderer, some position of authority, like a congressman or something, it was something crazy, like went with him or sent him to his embassy to get a passport. He got on a plane and flew to Tajikistan. He's a Tajikistan national, arrested in a mental hospital. They give him a 48-hour pass. They take him to get a passport, put him on a plane, and he's out of the country, never to return. Just murdered a guy. So, at a certain point, people are going to, if their family member gets murdered, they're not even going to go to the cops, because it's literally worse than nothing. The cops prevent you from doing anything and then let the guy go. The whole justice system is in for a rude awakening, in my opinion.
And if you were like, fine, I'm just going to take matters into my own hand, you bet your ass they're going to follow up on that and throw you in jail. They do not
100%.
They do not want you doing their job for them, and they don't want to do their job either. But bad people know how to game the system and how to exploit empathy. So that's why there's the insanity defense. That's why there's men who rape women and children saying, I'm a woman now, and being put into women's prisons. That's why that happens.
Absurd and insane, and none of this stuff should exist. And I don't know what we need to and the thing is, I was going off today because it's like, it is like dealing with children. It's like dealing with children who genuinely do not understand the most simple second order effects, like not even complicated second order effects, which even things like, hey, the government gives me something free. It's like, what's the first order effect? I get something free. All right, well, what's the second and third? Well, that money's got to come from somewhere. It's got to be taken from someone. And it's like, but I can even grant, like, hey, you get something for free. If that's as far as your thinking goes, I understand why you like that. But nowadays, it's like, we got rid of grades. What is it? I mean, the first order effect of that is that everybody gets stupid. Like, you don't even need to go to the second order. There's so much stuff that it's like, what did you think was going to happen? What did we think was going to happen when we like kicked all the white guys out of business and it just did all of this stuff that just, the only possible result was disaster. What did you think was going to happen? All this stuff is like that.
It's delusion, because they just assumed, oh, well, we can do whatever the white guys can do. It's like, no, white guys are designed a certain way when it comes, like, they've built the West from the ground up with their bare hands. Like, there's the science and the engineering and the math, and this white culture. This is what white guys do, and you can't put a bunch
Wow.
of, like, white women even. You can't put a like, there are races that are good at certain things, and that's just the way that it is. It's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean
I agree. I agree with that.
mhm,
I would also just say it's like probably a hell of a lot easier to pull down a group than push up a group, right? If
mhm,
the goal should be obviously, and I would think every thinking human being would be like, okay, there's a discrepancy. White kids on average do better than black kids at test scores.
mhm,
Who in the hell thinks let's get rid of test scores? Like that's so crazy. The obvious thing would be to say, okay, then we need to build the black kids up. Like the white kids, good, keep promoting them and hoping they do better and trying to build them up, but really put a lot of effort into trying to build the black kids up. But it's a lot easier to go, let's pull the white kids down. It's a lot
mhm,
easier to make people lazy and unmotivated and incompetent and illiterate than it is to make them motivated and striving and, competent and literate. So
mhm.
yeah, it's a matter of choice, but it's also just straight up anti-whiteism. So
This made me think of 2 things. So Harvard and Ivy Leagues, they'd gotten rid of, like, the SATs as a measure
yeah,
for letting kids in because they were so dependent on DEI. They've quietly brought those back now. So
yeah,
they're still gonna
yeah.
they're still gonna look at that, and they're still gonna handle the DEI, but they're gonna have test scores now too, so that way they're still gonna only take, the black kids and the Hispanic kids, but they're gonna be the smart ones now.
And of course, again, type of thing where we could argue, I'm sure you're familiar with Thomas Sowell. I mean, the
Mm,
entire concept, and
yep.
it's, again, just should be blatantly obvious. Like, you want kids to go to schools where they're capable, because
Mhm,
the only other option is so there's a stat I saw today. A school in San Francisco
mhm.
has a 94% failure rate in math. It's the number one school for acceptances to UC Berkeley, because when you don't have grades to go on, all you can go on is their identity, right? And so you're going to go with the identity that's disadvantaged, minority, whatever you want to phrase it, and then you're going to put people in that don't actually belong there because they didn't get the grades and can't achieve at the level that they should. So now Cornell or UC Berkeley is stuck with an option. Do you suddenly become the school that keeps expelling all the black kids? Do you
Mhm.
become the school that is screwing these kids over by letting them come for a year and then kicking them out? So they have to reapply and they don't get their backup school, and so instead they're going to go, all right, well, we have to get rid of grades too. I guess we're passing all these people, so now the diploma is worth less. And the problem with all of this is that we can recite this stuff very quickly. Like, I can say Harvard got rid of SAT scores, the quality of their students dropped, so they reestablished SAT scores, and we can laugh at it, and that's funny that they're so dumb. But then the frustrating part is that this actual process takes years. This is years of us banging our heads against the wall, going, do not take the SATs away. What are you doing? And then we get called racist, and then they
Mhm.
implement it. Then we're proven right. And then they implement it back. And it's like, why did we go through all of this?
It
Why
is
did they not listen to us?
it is
Like, it's
years
insane.
of Harvard-trained doctors graduating using AI. It is years of, Hampshire College, which is now shut down. It was one of the 5 colleges in the 5-college area of Massachusetts. They had a pass-fail system. So you would make up your major and get a pass-fail on it. So you could do,
Wow.
"I wanna be an underwater basket weaver. I wanna be a ribbon dancer," and they'd be like, "Okay, let's make you a course guide, and then we're gonna pass fail you on the course guide."
You
Absolutely
know,
insane. And then when it comes to, all right, so I lived in Massachusetts, so I know all this Massachusetts lore, but I have very, very smart daughters. My youngest one is a genius, and my middle one is, just brilliant, like, very high Q. My oldest one is very high Q too, and she's more of an athlete. She doesn't focus as much on that stuff, but, all very brilliant daughters, right? When my middle daughter was in 5th grade, she was, well, first, okay, my older one, I guess, first, 2nd grade, she's excelling, and so I asked for extra math work, and they said, "No, we're not gonna do that, we don't do that here," and so the teacher would
that's
make
unfair.
her do laps around the classroom instead of
Oh
extra
my
math work, I
God.
shit you not. Middle daughter, 5th grade, she's excelling, and so I'm like, "Can she have extra work?" And like, "No, we're gonna have her help the other students, we're gonna have her help the other students," right? I'm like, "Oh my
Right.
god." So, anyway, pandemic happens. I move in the middle of the pandemic, come down to Florida. My youngest daughter, I get a phone call the first day of class from her teacher saying, "Your daughter's a genius." I'm like, "Well, I knew she was smart, but yeah." Like, "No, we're going to have her gifted tested." And I'm like, "All right." And I'm like, "Holy cow." Like, they take it so much more seriously. They don't have gifted. They have it in some places, like the wealthy areas of Massachusetts will have gifted. They don't have it in
Right.
the area I was because it's technically a low income area. So they didn't have gifted. So they would bring
Interesting.
everybody down to the lowest standard
Oh
instead
my
of
god. And
bringing up those kids, and they were getting rid of AP courses, anything that developed a child to be smarter than average, they got rid of it.
yeah, yeah, lowest common denominator.
Mhm.
I mean, that is, and it's like those systems used to be the feeder systems that discovered those diamonds in the rough. You know, it'd be some kid from Midwest as a mathematical genius.
Mhm.
He'd be identified. He'd be, you know, given a scholarship. He'd be funneled into, IBM or NASA or wherever. And that's how we became, you know, the powerhouse that we are. So we've just cut off that supply of talent, and we've actually like completely discriminated against that supply of talent and actively like crush their hopes and try to pull them down. It is so monumentally insane. And it's funny to me that it's the low income area that doesn't have the gifted class. That's the one place that should exist. Like, because the wealthy areas, most of the kids are probably going to be pretty well, you know, high achieving. You can sort of treat them all gifted, I would imagine. But like
Mhm.
the lower income levels, that's where you want to like identify the diamonds in the rough, so they don't have to waste their time in the regular classes. Because
Mhm.
I went to public school in Houston, gigantic school, 4,000 people in my high school, and I was in half gifted and half regular classes, and I was like the only person that did it at the school. And I realized, I was like, oh, our school is actually like segregated. It's actually like kind of segregated. Like there'd be like one black kid in the GT class, and then I'd be the only white kid in the regular classes. And I saw first, I was just like, this is just babysitting. I never did any work in any regular class ever. I had teachers who didn't speak English. I had teachers who just wouldn't show up. Like it's just a place to go, and it gets no resources, no attention because nobody's achieving anything. And I just sat there thinking like, what is the point of this? Why like force these two very distinct populations under one administration that obviously has no incentive to prioritize the regular kids and puts all of the effort towards the gifted kids? This just doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense. That's just like, I need it tattooed on my forehead. It's just like nothing ever makes any sense, and it makes me go crazy.
So in Florida, they don't really care about the optics of it. They have the gifted kids. So when my daughter was in elementary school, she just started 6th grade. In elementary school, they separate the kids into accelerated classes and non-accelerated classes, and it is racially segregated. It is
Yeah.
wildly, like, so blatantly racially segregated, and then they give awards to everybody because, you know, they're little kids, right? So so the accelerated kids get excellent achievement, and the non-accelerated kids get good effort. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. I'm at the ceremony. I'm like, "Oh my god." But, you know,
Oh
I'm
no.
like, "Is this based? Is this based?" Coming from
I mean,
Massachusetts.
the thing is, I really am one of these like I was never a majority my whole life. Like maybe in elementary school, I went with mostly white kids, but from
Mhm.
like 6th grade on, I was a distinct minority in every class I went to. So I think I don't have some of like the sensitivities other people do about
Uh-huh.
race because like I hung out with black people and Hispanic people all the time and still do. So it's like I treat them like they're human beings and I
Mhm.
want them to achieve great things. But there really is this like inverted pseudo white supremacy where it's just like, oh, we can't expect them to make the grade. We have to get rid of grades for the poor little brown people. We don't want them feeling too bad about us white people. And it's like, how about you treat them like human beings? And you go, here's the standard, meet
Mhm.
it or fail.
Yep.
Sorry, like I believe in you. I believe you have the ability to do this. Do it or don't. But like you get left behind if you don't achieve this level.
Did you know
So
one
it's
of
up
the
to you.
tenets of, uh, Marxism, like Black Lives Matter, that sort of thing, is, I guess, race Marxism, as James Lindsay would have called it,
Right.
yeah, is to abolish Brown versus the Board of Education because it didn't create equity, it created equality. So they wanna
Oh, wow.
get rid of the standard, and they want to segregate. So and they already have,
Not
black-only graduations, black-only dorms, things that were like, "Oh, that's a little alarming," but it's by choice, and it's them choosing it, and that's what they want, and I'm like, "Well, I mean, if that's what you want, I'm a libertarian, so this is your choice, like, you can associate and
Yeah.
disassociate with anybody you want, and I'm fine with that, even if it is on racial."
It's just gotta be fair.
Uh-huh,
You just gotta
exactly.
give the same right to white people. I mean, that's just yeah, should be
Exactly, but a white
obvious.
person does it, and it's immediately, like, riots and will burn down your store. How dare you? Like, we're the only ones
Yeah.
who get to do that. It's just insane.
And you know what I think happens routinely throughout American history is
Mhm,
that because we're open and because we're more liberal and because we are able to sort of absorb changes to culture, changes to technology really, really well,
mhm,
uh, it makes us vulnerable to people who feed on the impatience of the population. So feminism, right? You've got all of these developments and litters like the washing machine, the dishwasher, and like you have women who no longer have to stay at home all day. So, it's like, all right, we're going to start making charities, we're going to start doing this stuff. And so because we're open, because we're liberal, it's like, yeah, great. Women can do more in public and can have a more greater role. We will facilitate that. We will come along with that. Some people will resist, but give them time, it'll happen. And then when that process starts happening naturally and organically, you get the outsiders coming in, burning their bras and going, it has to happen now, and it has to be extreme, and it has to,
mhm.
and they play on sort of the impatience of this thing that's already happening anyway. And I think the Civil Rights Act was the same thing, where it was like, black people in America for 100 years to go from abject slavery to where they got to in the 1960s,
Mhm,
essentially parity with, the white population in terms of the things that matter, achievement and
mhm.
education and marriage and all that sort of stuff. I mean, that is an amazing achievement in 100 years time. And it's right when they are like looking around going, okay, I think we've earned it. I think think we've proved ourselves now. I think we're all right. That in comes, daddy government to be like, we'll carry you across the finish line. You've done great, guys. You let us take it from here. And of course, it just utterly destroys the black community and destroys all the progress that they
Mhm.
made. So it takes these naturally developing and naturally organically occurring progressive sort of events and opens an opening for unscrupulous people to come in and force the issue and ruin the whole thing.
Hey, guys, want some crack? Let's put that into your communities. Oh,
Seriously,
yeah, and then there's, 92% of surgical abortion centers are within 2 miles of a black community. Walking
I
distance,
believe
a
it.
bus ride to yeah, that's why they can never get rid of abortion because Margaret Sanger was right for why she wanted to do it.
Well,
Alright, let's
I think we can actually come together with the left on it. But I
mhm,
think we can, make a deal on abortion. They want it for everybody all the time. We
uh-huh,
don't want it for anybody ever. What if it's only for black people? Is that
oh,
a bad? Would that be a bad thing? What if only black people could have abortions?
I
Because
yeah,
wouldn't that'd be good for them, right?
I
Isn't
mean,
that a loving thing,
if they
right?
wanted them because this is them segregating that, I mean, I'm for it.
I'm just saying.
Just yeah,
I like taking whatever liberals want to push on everybody and be like, what if we only did that to black people? Like you want gun control, like
mhm.
you can't take guns from everybody, but let's make a compromise. What if only black people couldn't have guns? Because then obviously it's like, well, no, then they'd be vulnerable and then they wouldn't be able to defend themselves. And it's like,
Oh,
yeah, duh. That's why we don't like it.
tell me
Just like
more.
if only black people could get abortions, you would realize, hey, this is a sort of genocidal thing that's going on actually.
Mhm,
But for some reason, when it applies to everybody, they don't realize that.
exactly. Alright, let's hop to the next topic. Oh, we gotta address the debt. The US national debt interest payments hit 1.4 trillion as the national debt tops 40 trillion. US
I
interest
mean,
expense on the national debt reaches a record 1.4 trillion in the past 12 months. It has tripled since 2020. Oh my god. It's just not sustainable. All right.
well, but Josie, you can complain about the debt, all right? But look around you, okay? Look at what we got for that $40 trillion. Look at how great our lives are since we spent $40 trillion. I mean, we spent it all, I imagine, building stadiums and roadways.
Mhm.
And I mean, right? I
Yeah.
mean, certainly we must have gotten something for $40 trillion in
Yeah.
debt. One would think there'd be something to show for it, right?
Yeah, one would think, but I mean, all that we can do is look at the Middle East and be like, wow, you've fallen apart completely. And you look
Yeah.
like that, so we can look like this 40 trillion in
Yep.
debt. So essentially, they take in roughly 5 trillion in taxes a year, okay? The debt payments are 1.4 trillion. The deficit is 2 trillion. So just to they're overspending, okay? So it's like our budget every year is 7 trillion and they just can't cut that down. If they just cut that down and make some room, like we could, I mean, we're never going to fully pay it off. Well, I take that back. We could probably pay it off in like 40 years if they just cut our spending and say you can't spend more than 4 trillion a year, then we could. But they won't do that. They are addicted to spending.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the debt is the problem. I over time, I mean, when you hear 40 trillion, when you hear tripled since 2020, part of me is just like, so it's not real. Like, it's just, why do we even care?
Mhm.
Like, at a certain point, obviously it's real. Obviously it has impacts and, you know, I get it. I get why it happens. But on the other hand, it's like, if we were spending that money to do something for us, it's not even the money that I'm objecting to anymore. It's like, if we could have the infrastructure that I see them building in China,
Mhm.
fine. As long as it's being built, as long as it's for us, as long as it's being built here. The problem is that it's overseas wars, and it's welfare for people that don't belong here,
Mhm.
and I mean, this is the problem with the criminal justice system. This is like the major problem, is that when they keep letting the same people go over and over, every time they're arrested, it's $50,000 of lawyer fees and judges' time and cops
Mhm.
doing stuff and insurance rates going up. And so it's like, and it gets to the point to where the whole backlog is so backed up that charges aren't even being filed till 2 years after the crime, and the victim doesn't even want to be a part of it anymore. So it's like all of this stuff, like interest, compounds upon one another. So I'm like, you know what? If we want to take the debt on, as long as it's not going towards the military, I wouldn't even care. But it's obviously never, ever, ever going to be spent on anything that we want. It is never going to be used to benefit us. And I would love to do. I mean, maybe AI could help us actually even understand what $40 trillion means, because I can't even fathom it. I can't
Mhm.
even understand that number. That it doesn't
I can help you
make any sense.
understand that
Because
number. Just give me a second. I'm going to pull it up. I compared it to time. Let me just pull it up. It's the only way
well,
to
but
wrap your
that
head
that
around it.
how am I even gonna? I can't. How am I even gonna picture that? It's like a trillion seconds is like a billion years. It's like these
Mhm.
numbers are so astronomical. Because what I like doing is, you hear like George Soros gave $18 billion to socialist causes,
Mhm.
and so I like to go, okay, what could I get for 18 billion? If I had a checkbook to a bank account of 18 billion, what could I buy? And it's like every single castle in Europe. Put that on the tab. That's maybe 4 billion, right? I still have 14 billion to go. I'm going to get a major league team, and I'm going to build a space program, and I'm going to have 4 different stadiums, and I think I'll have a thing. And you realize, like, man, 18 billion is more money than I can even fathom. You can literally buy like entire countries with that money. And that's just what, is donated. And so then you picture, like, all right, how many people could I hire full time to work for me every day, all day, with that amount of money? I could staff an entire Empire State Building worth of people, full time jobs
Mhm.
with insurance and everything else for 10 years. So it's like, what impact is that having on our government, and what type of change could you bring about if you had access to those types of resources? How is it being employed by our enemies? And then that number, 18 billion, as astronomical and unimaginable as it is literally pennies compared to a trillion. It is nothing compared to a trillion. So that's what I mean. I can't even
Yeah,
I can't even understand it.
but you understand just the breadth of it when you look at it like this. So, a million seconds is 12 days. Okay? All right.
Okay.
A billion seconds is 31 years.
Oh my god.
A trillion
Holy shit.
seconds is 31,688 years. Mhm. Yep.
Holy.
Yep. That's and we got 40. So what's our debt? Let's do 40 times 31, 688. All right. So our debt is 1,267,520 years. That's how much debt we have. If
Yeah.
our debt were in seconds.
That does put it in perspective. I mean, even just that jump from 12 days to 31
Yep.
years between a million and a billion,
Yeah.
that is
But
really
you see,
mind-blowing.
Harrison, they use numbers like 1,000,000,000, 6,000,000,000, 4,000,000,000, and that's what people hear. Like, "Oh, it's just our deficit's only 2,000,000,000,000. It's only 2,000,000,000,000. What's that?" It's like, well, that's like 63,000 years if we're talking about seconds, so that's quite a bit of money, and we are overspending by that amount.
Overspending, yeah, literally, and yeah, but like I said, it's like I mean, with the Iran war especially, what's that costing us? $100 billion a week or something?
Oh.
It's like, it's like, I, I, there's a certain point where like, if your dad every day is complaining about money and turn off the lights, we can't afford the electricity, and you got to drink water, we can't afford juice, and then he's like hopping in his like $500 sports car and like crashing it and then like getting another one, and it's like,
Mhm.
well, wait, do we not have any money? Are we totally in debt and underwater? Or do we have infinite resources for dad's adventures overseas with Israel? It's like at a certain point, we got to just spend money on ourselves. I'm okay with spending money. It's just got to not be spent for Israel's sake or for anybody else's sake, for that matter, for us Americans in America,
I
not other people in America.
I like that you put it in the perspective of your parent doing it because that's a narcissistic parent. We gotta think we have a
Right.
narcissistic government, like, "Oh, your priority isn't taking me on vacation, your priority is taking yourself on vacation. You are a narcissistic parent." So, wow, that puts it in perspective.
Yeah, that's what it, and it's like an uncaring narcissistic parent, like
Mhm,
not, which is funny because it's like, I don't know. Can't you, if you're a narcissistic parent, don't you get some narcissistic pride out of your kids? Like, I don't even understand why, things like Israel and Israel's influence
mhm,
and how pervasive and offensive and sort of in your face it is, right? And it's like, okay, if they have all this influence, if they can get all this stuff done, wouldn't it just be in their own interest to get some stuff done for the American people? Like, wouldn't that, instead of spending $1 billion funding propaganda to convince people to like you, if you have the ability to get like Palestinian students deported for an essay, how about you like use some of that influence to like shut up some of the leftists and you benefit America? And like, it doesn't even make sense for their own goals to be so heartlessly disinterested in the well-being of the American people. And this is true not just of Israel, but the government itself, right? It's like, can you not just like even pretend to like us? Can you not even pretend to be like trying to do something for us? And hell, even if you don't get it done, we would appreciate the effort. We would really, if it's like, hey, obviously Trump is trying so hard to get these guys in the deep state's tough, but boy is he fighting.
mhm.
But it's like we can't even get the pretense. They won't even pretend to be doing anything for us. So at a certain point, we gotta receive the message they're sending, right?
Well, I think that they're more like a covert narcissist might be more proud of their children. An overt narcissist, they don't get that secondhand pride. They are ashamed of us, and
Mm,
we're wage slaves. We're like their bastard child
right.
that they have to take care of. And so there's resentment there, and they use us, and there's nothing we can do to make them proud unless it's like the Olympics. Then all of a sudden we have some national pride. Look at them play the sports ball, and that's
Yeah.
that's when they'll have the national pride on it. Or, sometimes the Republicans, when you talk about the history of this country, they're super proud of the history of this country. Not the left, but the Republicans are. They're very proud, they'll talk about George Washington crossing the Delaware every day of the week, but they're not proud of us. They're proud of the his they're not proud of what we are. They're proud of the history.
Yeah, they're proud of the new America. I mean, there was a new America. 1965, a new America was founded, and it had entirely different morals, and it had a different interpretation of
Mhm,
history. And it's not a coincidence that it's exactly 20 years after 1945, right? World War II ends. The first generation to grow up and be born and grow up in a post World War II world, the moment they
mhm.
become of age and turn 18, 19, 20, the Cultural Revolution in America comes sweeping in. So that's not a coincidence. These things happen in generations, and the world, they deliberately decided that, we never can have World War II again. That means no nationalism. That means no pride. That means no any of that stuff. So that all was indoctrinated from people from birth. And the first people to experience that were the first people to do the Civil Rights Act and the Hart-Celler Act, and basically redefine what America is from what it was, a group of people and, liberty and justice and George Washington, to Martin Luther King and a plurality of races, and it belongs to everybody, and it kind of means nothing. And it's all really kind of a market. It's style and culture and surface level stuff rather than anything of substance. So they are proud of that new America, because boomers, that's what defines them. They are the baby boomers. They are the generation that came in
they're the ones that benefited.
World War II.
Yeah, they benefited with the way that how much money they made. They bought their house for like 7 raspberries. They had,
and God bless them.
Yeah, that's great for them. But
good for them.
As soon as JFK died, it's like a whole new America was ushered in. It's not just America too. We had Vatican II, so we had a whole new religious order that was ushered in.
Wow,
and
great! I didn't think about
that. 10 years too, because then we had the Burger Supreme Court, which ushered in Roe v. Wade. Things that were they were so progressive. They ushered in all of this horrible rulings and just changed the way that America is, like, in violating the separation of powers and states' rights in this court. And then on top of that, we lost the gold standard. So there was this period of about 10 years where it was just like demons were running the world. I think that to some level they are not the Jews, Florida, but to some level there are demons that are just running everything.
That is like sort of the inevitable conclusion, because just like everything we're talking about, and just like the frustration I've just have every second of every day of just some things I can empathize. I'm really good at empathize. I actually am really good at empathizing. I genuinely can understand where a lot of people from the left are coming from. I can understand what it'd be like to be one of them. I get it. But then there are things that I don't get, and that are they just don't make any sense. Late term abortion is one of those things that does not make any sense. There's no reason to it. There's no argument to it. So it's things like that you go, maybe this is a demon-shaped hole in the logic. Maybe I've got to look for something, because it's not logical. It's not reasonable. It doesn't even make sense if they're doing it something selfish and deceitful. It's just like, why are they tearing everything, even themselves, down? And it does feel like you've got to go to something demonic, because no earthly explanation to it.
Yes. So late-term abortion. So after 20 weeks, a woman has to give birth. Okay. The choice for late-term abortion is that she's going to give birth to a dead baby instead of an alive baby. And this is supposed to be humane, and it's supposed to be... So the way that these laws work is they say it's for the health of the mother, and they mean her mental health. So you can go to Massachusetts, you can go to Colorado, and I think you can go to 16 other states.
California, I think, yeah.
Yep. And you can say, well, not quite 16 yet, but like the 34 week to like birth, like that 3rd trimester abortion, which they say doesn't happen, yet they need to protect it on a scale that we've never seen before. You could go to any of these states and you could say, I'm sad, I can't have this baby. And they'll be like, okay, so we're going to go and we're going to inject adrenaline into your baby's heart, and you're going to go into labor and deliver the baby dead. And that's, for some reason, for your health, that it is better to deliver your baby dead than to deliver your baby alive and give your baby up for adoption. And that is demonic.
I was about to say, explain that to me without using the word demons. Go. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. There's no arguing it. I mean, we do know that they do sell the baby body parts. So the longer they gestate, the more complete and valuable they are. So there is the monetary, they are selling the child sacrifices for money. Yeah. So, there is that. And I think that's part of it. But
too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, they're selling them for lots of reasons to lots of people. Right. And that would be the only, like, as demonic as that is, it still at least is a logical reason. But then you just think about the woman that carries a baby for 9 months. I mean, I never have, but my wife has had 3 kids.
Yep.
I saw them moving around. I could tell what type of music they liked. I could tell when, my wife was eating their favorite food. They have personalities. Who spends 9 months with a person inside of them and then gets rid of it?
Yeah.
Like, that person should go to jail.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep. There was a woman today, she's an influencer, and that was circulating yesterday. And she was 26 weeks pregnant, and she had a baby that was going to die after birth. Okay. So this baby had illness that was incompatible with life. And, that can happen. All right. So she decided, I'm going to terminate my pregnancy at 26 weeks. I'm going to go and I'm going to terminate my pregnancy. It's like, why? So you want your baby to die in your dark womb alone, like have a needle stuck into his heart alone and die, instead of like letting him be born, embracing him, holding him, letting him only feel love until he naturally passes away with pain meds. They can, if he's in pain, they can give him something for that. But you'd rather just murder him in your womb than just let him die in your arms and go meet Jesus. Like, that's what you want. And I can't reconcile that. I can't understand how a mother would do that. I'd die for my children. I can't understand how a mother would be like, well, it's going to inconvenience me. I'm going to suffer a little bit, so I need to do this. I can't understand it. It's like I have contempt for women like that.
Well, and how do you have that much trust in a diagnosis? Like, how many stories have you? I've heard probably 10,000 stories of, I was supposed to die in a year. I never was supposed to be older than 2. Here I am playing basketball. Like,
yep.
What? So you're going to, they did some, DNA test and you're like, well, kill the kid. I mean, that, again, yeah.
I was
nuts.
I was 20 weeks along with my middle daughter, and they did their measurements, and her head was measuring at 10% and her body was measuring at 9%. And they told me she would have be born just with catastrophic, not injuries, but like a microcephaly type of thing. They told me
deformity type thing. Yeah.
Catastrophic. And she'd never live a normal life. And that they were going to monitor it, but I had options because I lived in Massachusetts. I had options at 20 weeks. And I was like,
no way.
Flip you, like, not doing that. 4 weeks later, I go back and she's perfect. She's measuring perfect.
Wow.
When she was born, she had a 30-degree rotation of C1 on C2. So she was like this in my womb.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So she was born with torticollis. She needed 8 years of physical therapy at Shriners Hospital. And she just got her braces off yesterday because her jaw was also a little bit, because of the teeth. And this led to this, which led to this. And she wore the baby helmet and all that. So she's 16. It was 16 years of interventions. But I mean, you wouldn't know anything was like wrong with her. She was, I knew because I was her mom, but I mean, you couldn't look at her and see something wrong. It's just stuff I did to make her life more comfortable and easier, as she got older. But they told me she was going to just have catastrophic things wrong with her. And it's like, oh, I mean, it took some time, but I was happy to do it. I went and became a neuromuscular therapist to help her heal faster. That's what mothers do.
Well, that is really a very difficult decision. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because that's like, that's like the biggest fear. Like, you go into those checkups and you're just like, please, for the love of God. But then you never know until the kid comes out. And I mean, that cliche, everything about having kids is cliche because everybody has just like the same experience. It's so funny. Like, before having kids, people would be like, oh, you're never going to sleep. And I'm like, ha. Yeah. And then like 3 months into the first kid, you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to sleep. That's why they were saying it.
Exactly.
It's the 10 toes and 10 fingers, man. That's a real thing. You count them and you go, yes.
Yes,
they're
we
perfect.
did it. Yep. We got perfect little baby here. Yeah. And it's like all my babies were perfect. Even my one that needed intervention. Perfect little baby. Okay.
Wow.
Let's jump into one more story. Let it be Alex Jones, judgment reduced. So a Texas court has cut a $50 million judgment against InfoWars founder Alex Jones to about $6 million. Is that correct? I saw 1.5 million. I've seen 6 million. It's less.
Yeah, I've seen this. I've seen the same thing. I think it's 1.5 per charge, right? So there was a cap, and they said they got rid of the cap because they claimed there was this egregious, whatever the qualifier to the charge is, right? Aggravated harassment or whatever it was, and so basically they appealed that and said that this qualifier is invalid, so the cap has to remain. So it's good. So it goes from 50 to whatever. We weren't ever. I don't think we're ever going to pay it anyway because we can't pay $1.2 billion.
Because there's $1.2 billion. There's that larger number that still stands. that
Yes.
like almost $1 billion. That ridiculous, ridiculous. But I don't want to get into that.
I would love to get into, and you know what's funny is, like me and Rex, especially, Alex Jones' son, like we are like constantly like, we got to talk about Sandy Hook. We got to expose what happened because people still don't understand how egregious it was, how abusive the court system was. And then, and so we'll be, and it's like, well, guys, but things are happening in the court. And we're like, but are they, but we really want to talk about that. And then you get something like this and it's like, okay, well, shut up. Never mind. Sorry. We didn't realize things were actually happening because we, you just kind of don't know. It's kind of like, is it over? Things are supposedly happening. And, it's funny because people will come to me and be like, what's really happening? And I'm like, I know everything you know. If you watch the Alex Jones show, you know as much as me. He says everything on air. He says to us, it's all out in the open. So I probably know as much as your audience if they watched the Alex Jones show. He explained it on there. So supposedly, things are moving forward. I mean, if there was any justice in this world, if there was any, touchstone of reality that we could summon and have somebody who just could objectively look at what happened, nothing that happened to Alex Jones would stand. And I think he's owed massive reparations for everything that we've gone through. I mean, they have destroyed his life. They've destroyed his family's lives. They have stolen his children's inheritance. They have stolen our company. They have tried to humiliate us. I mean, we didn't deserve any of this. We didn't do anything wrong. Alex didn't do anything wrong. And especially if you look around the media landscape today, I mean, and I'm a little bit trepidatious about actually getting into this stuff because I don't want to mess anything up moving forward. But one of the public charges that Alex Jones was stuck with was, had to do with denying the grief of a victim of a crime or a family member of a victim of a crime. And it's like, if, maybe in 2012, that was something that wasn't done, but like, if that was the standard for like what's going on with Charlie Kirk or what happened with Trump's butler, I mean, at this point, it is standard that no matter what happens, everybody questions every aspect of it. Maybe we're just a little ahead of the curve in that regard, but nobody, thinks this is something crazy to do now, to look at a major event and say, let's investigate this and, find out the truth and not just take the government's word for it. That's normal now, but it wasn't normal back then.
I mean, this makes me think of something they do not want people asking questions about, and we're gonna perp walk this one guy who did ask questions about it, and nothing he said, I imagine, affected these. I mean, there were people questioning it that weren't Alex Jones. A lot of people were, but
more. Well, in this, I mean, the whole thing. Especially if you watched it and were there and understood it, I mean, it was like the biggest conspiracy online. It was like 9/11 and then Sandy Hook. And there are entire documentaries. You can still find them. Dozens of contributors, dozens of researchers. There are books. There used to be, if you went on YouTube and searched Sandy Hook, there were page after page after page after page of users whose entire career was investigating that. They ban all of it. They take it all offline and they say it was Alex Jones. It was that guy. All he did was have on a book author a couple times. He commented on it live while it was happening. He spent maybe 20 minutes total on this thing. He does 4 hours a day, folks, 6 days a week. The man produces 100 hours of content a month. He spent 20 minutes 10 years ago on this topic. It's out of whack. In my personal opinion, it's totally out of whack.
I think enough time has to go by and something similar to this will probably happen to that and they'll reduce it. I would hope, because this is egregious. I know the Supreme Court won't look at it or anything, but it kind of goes to know who rules over you. You have to see who you can't criticize. And when they did that to him, that, was like, well, now I have questions that I didn't have before,
Well, the silver lining of this, which for some reason people don't seem to recognize, is that our bank account was in the control of the federal government for like 3 or 4 years. Wow. So like, people who accuse us of like taking money from other sources, like, you understand that that's physically impossible. We had Hillary Clinton's lawyers had access to every dime we gave them our QuickBooks accounts.
Wow.
So it's like, we are the most certified, legitimate organization if they found a single dollar out of place, they would have raked us over the coals for it. So it's, the silver lining should be that we got the most clean audit the world has ever seen, and any claims about us getting money from any source other than, at this point, thealexjonesstore.com, is just totally fallacious and ridiculous and nonsensical. So I wish more people even just paid attention to like the information that was exposed during the trial, because anything you want to know about who we are and how we operate and where we get our money, it was all laid out in public for you. So it frustrates me that people still have these conspiracy theories about Alex Jones and InfoWars when it's like, how, like, what are you talking about? We are the enemy. We are the enemy of the enemy, guys. We are the target. We are the ones who are being destroyed, and anything we do wrong will be exposed. So we don't do anything wrong.
So is the idea to pay $1 billion to these people that they would garnish his, like, everything he makes for the rest of his life?
Yep.
Like, just make him be a slave?
Yeah. Yes, literally. Yeah. There are certain provisions in Texas law where like they have to be able to, you can keep one residence and you can keep one vehicle, things like that. But essentially he can certainly never own a company again. So like the Alex Jones network is owned by, outside people that are basically hands off, but technically, they own it. They are the owners. They're the management or whatever. And he had to make a deal with them, but yeah, he can't own it ever again. And that's where it got complicated, where it's like, if they're taking InfoWars material to pay off the debt, what does that look like? Versus if Alex Jones has personal debt that needs to be paid and he owns InfoWars, do you take a chunk of that? It all gets so confusing and convoluted. And at the end of the day, there's just not a lot of money there. I mean, it's, we make money and then we spend money. I mean, we have a gigantic crew. We have very nice studios. We have to pay for web hosting. So it's not like we're sitting on $1 billion worth of stuff. We have maybe $1 million worth of equipment now that it's aged and used. That's what essentially they're fighting over. I think it's kind of absurd personally.
It is, but it's the process is the punishment.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And it's not even about, they literally say they don't want money. Like it's about shutting us down. By their words. They wanted the money to be so overwhelming that it meant that we would never be able to survive and would never get back on our feet. It didn't work. That part didn't work, fortunately. So thank God for
you guys
our audience.
Too stubborn to be silenced.
Well, it's America. We have the First Amendment. You literally can't shut us up. Like, that's not how this works. You cannot stop Alex from talking.
I wonder if they're going to try to use that precedent on Candace for Erica.
I would not doubt it in the slightest. Frankly, I think what Candace is doing is a completely different ballpark than what Alex ever did, which is why I talk, it's not like Alex was not like the Sandy Hook guy. He didn't go out every day making new ideas about it. That was never the case. So I also get a little bit frustrated when people are like, Candace is doing what Alex did. It's like, no, not even remotely the same. I think she is being very reckless, and I would not advise her to be so reckless, quite frankly.
She's very careful about how she words things, but I don't think that's going to be enough to protect her, because I'm sure they're going to come at her with defamation. I'm certain of it. She's very careful about how she words things she's very smart. But the way she words things, it's always, and in my opinion, I believe, and she keeps it at that level every single time. Yeah. So they will have to comb through every single show and find her slip up just one time, and that's what they're going to take, and that's what they're going to use.
Well, if they take a book out of some other, take a page out of another playbook, then none of that will matter, because they will literally demand things from Candace that do not exist, and then give her a default judgment for not providing the things that don't exist. So
this is the precedent. It's absolutely alarming that this is the precedent. I believe it's going to be used on her. I believe they're going to use this on anybody that they want silenced about certain topics. And those topics.
And that's sort of the difficult part about it, is because somebody mentioned, Candace at one point, and I was like, well, it's not like, it's like, hey, don't jaywalk right here. My friend got a ticket for jaywalking, right? Hey, don't do this because my friend got in trouble for this. But it's like, okay, but your friend got in trouble when he was standing on the curb and hadn't jaywalked.
Yep.
So maybe jaywalking is not actually not jaywalking is not actually a protection. Like, we didn't actually do what they sued us for, in my opinion. So, it's a little bit fuzzy where it's like, can you even protect yourself from a claim like this if they are literally demanding things that don't exist and then giving you a default judgment and depriving you of a jury trial on the basis of it? It's pretty messed up.
Yep. Oh, I wish Alex the best with that. I followed that. It was such a black pill to me. But we're going to end the show on a white pill. So I'm going to have you white pill the audience. What's your biggest white pill that you could give right now?
Oh, my biggest white pill. I feel like I was just desperately searching for a white pill. I don't know.
I mean, it's a big white pill that they changed their mind on that. It does give me hope that they could change their mind on the big one, but it doesn't have to be about Alex. It could be about anything.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, overall, the white pill is look at where we were 20 years ago. Look at where we were 10 years ago. We cannot, we have to appreciate how far we've come and how many people have woken up, how sort of what an opportunity this is right now, that everything is a little bit in the Wild West. Like even the Iran war goes into this, where it's like things are really getting upended right now. And I think that's by design. I think bad people have bad designs about how they intend to reestablish, build order from the chaos they're creating. But it's also an opportunity for us to build order from this chaos. And I think you're going to see a very rapid, you're already seeing a very rapid awakening to what's going on. And there's sort of a race. I don't know if you can hear my cat. She's yelling at me. It's so loud. But no, to me, I mean, honestly, to me, the white pill is really only achievable right now personally. And it's definitely, I'm not going to get, I don't have a white, I'm sorry. I'm all out of white pills. I cannot even fathom one right now. But I will say, so it's not a white pill, but it's a backup plan is just like, be prepared, be prepared, store food, get ammunition and guns, raise your kids right. Because no matter what happens, you're going to survive. And like, at the end of the day, maybe that's all it is just like, when everything's going crazy, as long as you can look around and go, I'm good, and I'm going to survive, and I can protect my family, and we can thrive no matter what happens from here on out. And that is a very comforting feeling. And at the end of the day, all this stuff going on, it's going to take a lot of fighting, and it's going to take a lot of effort. And even with all that, it might not work, but worse things have happened, and you take the long view of history. Nothing really ever comes to an end. Nothing really ever happens one way or another. Everything is iteration. Everything is the long game at this point. I think focusing on the long game and understanding that Trump has sort of screwed up this final opportunity. The way I've been presenting it, tell me, are you a fan of Lord of the Rings?
I am. I'm not like I'm not like into the lore
super
and
fan.
Stuff, but I like the movies.
But the scene of Gandalf, coming over the hill during Helm's Deep.
Yep.
I was picturing, I couldn't get AI quite to create it, but I felt like it's like we were Helm's Deep, and the orcs are storming the wall, and things are exploding, and we're about to be overrun. And then like 2024, and Trump gets elected, and he's up on the hill, and we're like, oh my God, yes, we've done it. And you see the scene of they all come running down the hill, but instead of charging into the orcs, they just sort of take a sharp right and like keep running that way. And we're like, what the hell? No, we needed that. That was the thing we needed to survive. Why is it going to fight Iran? Why is it going over there? Because I feel like people don't understand when they're like, why don't you appreciate what MAGA's doing? I'm like, because it's not enough, because we're about to be overrun, and because that was the shining light, Gandalf coming in and rescuing us, and he chose not to. So now we're screwed, and we got to come up with something else. So I have no black pills for the immediate. I have no white pills for the immediate future. The forecast for the next couple of years is black as pitch. Sorry, nothing I can do about that. However, it's not over. It will never be over until you give up, and fortune favors the bold. And we got to just take the long term and recognize this whole Trump experiment where we thought we were going to break the system and establish something better. It didn't work. It failed, and we have to do something next. So we have to find out what's next. We have to be the ones establishing the next movement, because this movement has failed. And that's my opinion.
I have to say, to follow up on that, At the Libertarian Convention, he made 32 promises to libertarians, and he kept 16 of them, and he did that in the first 3 months. And so when I talk about this, people are like, "Oh, you just want, you got more than you bargained for. He did all these things for you." And I'm like, "That's a failing grade. That's a failing grade."
Failing grade.
Yep, that's a
It's not
50%.
sufficient.
That
It's
is
not enough.
not even a C. He didn't even do average. And he stopped, and it's not even like, and these promises are weighted differently too. Like Ross Ulbricht, getting him free, that was great. He's getting a lot of the Bitcoin hostages or prisoners or whatever free. Great, wonderful. Iran war was what he sold us on. Not going to do that. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I'm the anti-war president, he said, anti-quote. So,
Yep.
he has a failing grade with me. Sorry, I
And
really love
he's got no
Hmm?
and he's got nobody to blame but himself.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, that's how it is.
Yeah, well, it was easy to get to him because all that you have to do, he's a narcissist, and whether people like that or not, textbook, he's a narcissist, okay? And all you have to
Yep.
do for a narcissist is flatter them. And so what was the state that I shall not mention doing? They were saying, "Oh, nobody else would go to war. They weren't brave enough, but you are. You can do it. You're
Yep.
the only one who can do it." And then they're calling him Cyrus, who's equivalent to essentially a king or a demigod. They're comparing him to Cyrus. So,
Yep.
I mean, that's all that they had to do. And now he is supposed to usher in the second Messiah. I don't know, whatever they believe.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah. Yeah.
supposed to help usher that in because he was
Yeah.
pierced
The
on the ear.
Antichrist.
Yes, that's. I
Yeah.
mean, that's their Messiah should be our Antichrist. I mean, biblically.
Yeah. That's about how I read the situation. And it's so funny when you bring that up and people are like, "You've got these crazy ideas." And it's like, actually, Benjamin Netanyahu has these crazy ideas. I also think they're crazy and I'm against them.
Yeah.
I didn't come up with them, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Trump, I think he sold out. I think he literally made a deal. I think he made a deal and went, I don't want to be prosecuted. I don't want the IRS investigating me. I want to make money. I want to retire in Tel Aviv. What do I need to do to achieve that? And then use your power to keep them off of me and leave me alone for the rest of my life. The problem is, I don't think that's going to work. I think the Democrats are still going to throw your family in jail. So I don't even understand that as a reason, because how could you trust these people? But yeah, no, everything points to him making an absolute deal, especially the fact that the financial crimes he's carrying out, I mean, literally like selling access to his Truth Social, it's so flagrant, and it really is not reported on in the way that it should be. I mean, in the first administration, they were hyperventilating about a phone call to Zelensky and the ramp and all this stuff. And it's like now he's just openly selling access to like a crypto server, and the media's not reporting on it. Why do you think that is? How do you think he got that deal? I think he made a deal.
Well, if the world's going to end and he's going to be ushered into the table of the true Messiah, then he's got nothing to lose, Harrison. Nothing.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see how this goes. Exactly. We'll see who wins in the end.
All right. Well, I'm going to have you hang out with me after I end the show just to make sure everything uploads okay. But everybody, thank you for watching the show. I'm Josie. I'm the Redheaded Libertarian. You can find me on X at TRHL Official. I'm on all streaming. So I'm on Apple and I don't know, wherever you get shows, you can find me. YouTube, Rumble, all across Timcast Media. Be sure to subscribe. And I am the Josie Show. Harrison, where can people find you and help support your work?
Best way to find me is on X at Harrison H. Smith. And of course, you can go to thealexjonesstore.com to support us. That's the only place that the Alex Jones Network gets any money at all is from your supports. Go to thealexjonesstore.com to support us. And of course, alexjoneslive.com is where you can find the War Room that I do each and every weekday, 3 to 6 p.m. It's a call-in show, so if anybody listening wants to disagree with me or call in, we love to get callers from all across the world and all different spectrums. So give us a call. And of course, Off Limits News can be found on the NXR Studio YouTube channel. Just search Off Limits News or NXR Studios. And you can also go to newchristianright.com/conference. We're doing a big conference in November 12th through 14th. Alex Jones will be there, Alex Stein, Joel Webbin, and Calvin Robinson. It's going to be a huge event, and it is Christ is King, America After Trump. So exactly what we're talking about here. I hope you come, Josie. I hope to see you there.
When is that?
We can go to November 12th through 14th in Irving, Texas, Dallas, Texas.
So that's near Dallas. Okay, I might actually be able to do that. You write that down.
All right. I'm gonna hold you to that. Well, you can go to newchristianright.com/conference, use promo code Harrison for 20% off. And I hope to see you there.
Absolutely. And castbrew.com, go buy my coffee. Everybody take care of yourselves, take care of each other. God bless you and stay free.